Okay, those of you who just came in, go ahead and get your coffee or whatever, but we're going to get started. So welcome, and thank you for coming to New Canaan Library tonight. We thank Annalise Paik of the Fairfield Green Food Guide and Chef Sylvia Baldini of Strawberry and Sage for presenting this fabulous program of chocolate this evening. And this presentation will be a mix of education, demonstrations, and tastings. Annalise will be teaching us new information about chocolate as well as introducing us to 3 exotic types of chocolate. While Sylvia will wow us once again with her culinary mastery and recipes. So I need to stop talking now so we may begin. So thank you. Ladies?
Okay, so we are going to start with a little bit about chocolate. It grows on trees. Starts as cacao, and this is a cacao pod. Who has been on a chocolate factory tour? Raise your hand. Okay, Theo, where did you go? Hershey. Hershey. We'll teach you about that. So this is actually food of the gods. It was currency at one point for the Aztecs. It was an offering to the gods. It was something that only kings and queens ate and drank. So we should feel really lucky that we live in a democratic world where we can actually eat chocolate. It's ancient. It arrived in Europe in the 1500s, and it just went absolutely crazy since there. Now, like many foods, most of it is not top quality. There are different varieties of chocolate, and there's what you call fine flavor cacao. They're like criollo, comunitario, forastero, and they grow in chocolate-producing regions, which are 20 degrees north and south of the equator. All right, where's the student? Okay, can you tell me what state in the United States falls between 20 degrees north and south of the equator where we might grow cacao, and we actually do grow it?
Well, I'm not sure, but it said on one of those chocolate bars, Madagascar.
Madagascar, okay. Anyone else? What state falls between 20 degrees north and south of the equator in the United States?
Is it a state or
Hawaii?
Who said Hawaii?
Well, I repeated it, she said it.
It's Hawaii. So we actually grow amazing cacao in Hawaii. And remember I said there's fine cacao and then there's really the garbage cacao, and it really is garbage cacao. That's the stuff that winds up in the Hershey bar. And those aren't really chocolate bars, those are candy bars because they're mostly sugar. So don't call a Hershey bar a chocolate bar, it's a candy bar. And in Europe it could never be labeled a chocolate bar. Okay, so there's a project called the Heirloom Cacao Preservation Initiative, and what they're trying to do is identify the actual DNA of plants, cacao trees, that produce the best chocolate in the world, and one is in Hawaii. It's already been cataloged. So if you go onto HCPI, the Heirloom Cacao Preservation Initiative, the Fine Chocolate Industry Association is part of that. They identify the first couple of trees. It's actually a tree. It's like this tree is, now in the Heirloom Cacao Preservation Initiative. So I think that's wonderful. The problem with the fine flavor cacao is it's hard to grow, it's temperamental, it's susceptible to disease, and it's so much easier to grow the clones and the hybrids, or to rip out your cacao plantation entirely and graze cattle instead. So we are losing our fine flavor cacao. That's why the initiative started. These are all the countries that grow it. Most is grown in Ghana and the Ivory Coast. That's mostly just bulk chocolate. The fine chocolate is grown in some of the smaller countries. Today we're going to go to Madagascar, we are going to go to Peru, and we are going to go to Grenada. We really don't bother with the other chocolates, as they're actually problematic from a humanitarian standpoint. Child labor still exists, even though there was a protocol that was put in place with a couple of US senators, and the chocolate companies agreed they were not going to source cacao from companies that use child labor. They still do. So we stay away from that, none of that tonight. So the quality chocolate formula starts with genetics, then it goes to terroir, which is what is the climate, what is the soil, what are all the growing conditions, how do they treat the cacao after they harvest it. Is it ripe? Do they ferment it properly? Do they dry it properly? Do they sort it out to take out any bad beans? How do they roast it? How do they conch it? Aging, tempering, storing, shipping. So you can see, just like wine, just like olive oil, just like any fine food, if one of these elements is off, you have an inferior product. So this is the Theo Chocolate Factory tour. So if you've never seen a cacao bean, they're up on the right-hand side. Those are the little husks that come off when they mill it. And then on the right-hand side, that's the equipment where they're actually grinding it and conching it to have it create the consistency that we use in food. Now, chocolate is actually more complex than wine. So if people have mastered wine tastings and want to move on, chocolate tastings are a great thing to do. And a lot of these flavor compounds don't become evident until you put the chocolate in your mouth and start chewing. They become volatile, and they need to be warmed to become volatile. So when people taste wine, now they swish it around in their mouth and make noise and everything. You can do that when you taste your chocolate today if you want to. I recommend you take your piece, you chew it up. You can go ahead and pass. Do you want to pass? Because we're going to start tasting in a minute. Put the piece of chocolate in your mouth, chew it up, and let it melt between your tongue and the roof of your mouth. And chocolate is one of these magical foods that's solid at room temperature that melts at body temperature. It's like the perfect food. And then, very quickly, I'm going to teach you, Sylvia is going to get into the magic of chocolate, dealing with it when you're cooking, because the chocolate that you eat, that you're going to be eating right now, and just hold on to it, don't put it in your mouth until we're all ready to do it together, okay? That way you can get the maximum appreciation. Cocoa butter can crystallize in 6 different forms. So if you crystallize it the wrong way, it's not going to have that beautiful sheen on it. It's going to be dull, and it's going to crumble. So Sylvia's going to teach you the magic of keeping the chocolate beautiful later. Yeah?
Does that affect the flavor when it crystallizes in different forms?
It actually does. I have a bar of chocolate here that's actually expired. Chocolate has fine chocolate has expiration dates on it. You should always check the expiration date. What we call bloom is when the chocolate, that's bloom. And you know what? The texture is terrible. You can try cracking it if you want to. It crumbles. So if you want, you can pass this around so everybody can see what. If you ever get a blue bar, return it. What's that? It's old chocolate. Yep, that's what old chocolate looks like. Okay, so when you savor chocolate, I say savor because you're not just tasting. On your tongue, you can only taste sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami, which is savoriness. You're really not going to get salt on any of these chocolates because they're not flavored chocolates. And you're really not going to get umami. So you're going to get sweet, sour, and bitter. Smell your chocolate. When you have a bigger piece, one of the tests for quality is you snap it. And if there's a hard snap, it means it was properly tempered. It should be shiny. It shouldn't be dull unless they do it on purpose. Sometimes the makers make it dull on purpose. And the way it feels in your mouth, it shouldn't feel crumbly. It shouldn't feel grainy. It shouldn't feel waxy. It should feel nice and smooth and even buttery. Now, when you put the chocolate in your mouth to taste it, and you bite it a little bit, and you let it melt between your tongue and the roof of your mouth, try doing this. Try holding your nose, and then, while keeping your mouth shut, open your nose and breathe out. That's called retronasal olfaction. So you breathe usually through here, right? But you also have what you call mouth breathing. So you have food right here, and the volatile aromas pass through here and actually come up through your nose the other way. And you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of the chocolate if you do that. So we're gonna try our first one. This is Picari. This bar is made by a tree-to-bar company, meaning the chocolate comes right off the trees. You know, it's processed, goes right into the factory, and they make these amazing raw cacao bars. These are not raw. This is roasted. And usually their chocolate is from Ecuador. This chocolate is from Peru. So this is a Piura Quemazón bar. And Piura is in the northwestern region of Peru, which is right below Ecuador. And these are white cacao beans. So if you look at this, this is a 70% chocolate. Do you see how light it is? Yeah.
Looking at that.
Doesn't
It doesn't taste like milk.
Right, it kind of looks a little bit like milk chocolate for 70% cacao. Now, this is certified organic, certified biodynamic. It's also kosher. See the white beans? The beans are not usually white. So, this chocolate won International Chocolate Awards in 2012, 2013, and 2014. Sylvia, you want to come taste some with me? We'll taste it with everyone, and we'll see. We'll see what everybody thinks about the chocolate. Did you try sort of letting it melt in between your tongue and the roof of your mouth, and kind of plug your nose, and then just force the air through your nose and see what you get? Because 70% of what you taste, quote unquote, is really aroma.
It's great that I'm just going to say, somebody that helps me exercise, my super trainer is here. And she's eating it too, so I'm guilty. You did your workout today.
Okay. Right, but we got our workouts in today.
I'm just saying.
Jocelyn knows, right?
I'm holding mine.
You have this chocolate?
I did.
Okay. So, chew it out. Anybody? What are you getting? We have a little aroma wheel here to help you. You can refer to this. Is anybody getting some acidity like you would get with wine? That's a sign of good chocolate. You want that. It brightens up the chocolate. Is anyone getting like profound sweetness or profound bitterness or robust chocolate flavor? Or
Dancing a little bit, right?
I'm sorry?
It's light. Flavor's dancing.
It's got nice It's a lively chocolate. It's not a dark and brooding, dark roast chocolate. Nice and lively. Any floral around this? Any a little floral, a little fruit? A little orange. What do you think? Do you like it? You like this chocolate? Yeah, the acidity is really nice. And it's smooth on your tongue. So now you can say that you tasted a rare white cacao that's multi-award winner. And this is what it tastes like. So the next time you go and you think you're eating chocolate, this is the good stuff. This is the fine chocolate. Okay, the next chocolate that we're going to taste is from another bean to bar manufacturer.
Can I ask a
Yep.
the white stuff you saw there? On the,
Yep.
is that the soft fuzzy stuff and the bean is inside, or is the whole that white thing actually the bean?
That's the bean, and then there's sort of this goopy stuff on the outside that gets fermented away. They lay it out and they let it ferment. And this could be used to make an alcoholic beverage, or it's drained off. But no, this actually is all going to dry out.
That's the whole bean.
Yep, that's the whole bean. It's all going to dry out and ferment. And you really, in my opinion, don't get an interesting chocolate unless it's fermented properly. That's like one of those things. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Why did this chocolate win the award? Because I personally didn't like it.
You didn't like it, okay. It won the award because it happens to be an incredibly balanced, delicate chocolate that has a flavor profile that's really unique. It's really, really different. And when you compare it to the other chocolates, you'll see how unique and different it is. So you may like a darker roast.
Excuse me?
You may like a darker roast chocolate. That's what we're heading to. Go ahead. Yeah.
Perhaps I missed this, but where did it fall on the flavor wheel? Like where did I see a profile time for percentage?
Okay, so I actually profiled this chocolate earlier today, and some of the things that I got on here were the acidity, slightly tannic, floral, the citrus. Jocelyn, you got the orange on it? Yeah, that was great. Little bit of earthiness to it, very balanced, slightly tannic, and that's normal to have a little tannin in there. That's kind of what I got all around. Anybody else?
It reminds you of wine. I mean, there's
Yes.
and I've heard wine. Taste
Yes.
You're getting that kind of thing, and you'll say, I like this kind of wine because it's got peaches, or I like this. And so the chocolate must be the same way. That
It
some
is.
of us like a chocolate
That's
that
right.
has a certain, maybe more fruity, maybe we like that.
That's right.
So it's just like a wine. How do you do right wine?
It's subjective. Taste is subjective. And that's why tonight we're exposing you to a couple of different ones. So the next one is the one that Sylvia is going to use to make the truffles. And that chocolate is from Francois Pralou. And he inherited his father's patisserie and decided in the early 1990s to specialize in chocolate. And the French like a very dark roasted chocolate. So the chocolate that you just got is this chocolate, Pralou's Madagascar. Now, Madagascar chocolate is grown within a 25-mile radius, and that 25 miles represents 1% of global cacao production. So you are eating chocolate, rare 1% chocolate. And he has his own organic plantation. This is not exclusively chocolate from his own organic plantation. He doesn't grow enough to make that. I mean, let's be real. So try it. Madagascar has a feature to it that is kind of, it's pronounced. There's a pronounced note in Madagascar chocolate. Can anyone say what it is, like right off the bat? What do you think is particularly prominent in the flavor profile of this chocolate?
I think it's kind of like strong.
Mm-hmm. It's strong in what? What do you taste?
Like, it tastes like dark chocolate.
Mm-hmm. Tastes like dark chocolate. And he dark roast this chocolate. Does anyone get fruit on this, like red fruit?
Yeah.
That's very dark chocolate. Dark red fruit notes. Mm-hmm. I'm also getting a little malt. I'm getting malt.
Different from the other
The
chocolate.
texture is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Totally from the other chocolate.
Is this texture a little creamier?
It's lighter. Yeah.
It tastes like a buttery.
Mm-hmm. More buttery. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
It's interesting because when I smell it, it smells like mushrooms to me.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a lot of earthiness.
Taste it. It's so creamy and fruity.
And you're getting a little tingle in your throat, like a little bit of acidity. You think like a little lemoniness on this, or a little mintiness?
Citrus.
Citrus, yeah. It's like a little lemony. I'm getting malt too. Is anyone else getting malt on this? Sylvia, did you try it?
I've been trying all day.
I watched her.
So what do we think?
I like it better.
But I have a question. Does this long but dark roast, does that include a long conching process?
Yeah, it does.
That means that in this case?
No, they're separate processes.
Separate process.
But he happens to do a long conching
A long
too.
conching also.
Yeah, there are some people that think that conching, which is where they put it through the machine, and the microns get smaller and smaller and smaller, so it's finer and finer and finer. Some people think you lose something, some of the aromas. Other people think you build them, so there are two different philosophies on that. But he does use long conching. The next one we're going to do is the Grenada Chocolate Company, and I think this is absolutely fascinating chocolate. Believe it or not, you can get this chocolate in Whole Foods. They used to have all 3 bars, but they no longer do. They only have the bar with nibs in it. And Sylvia, where's Sylvia? Oh, okay. Sylvia brought some. You brought cacao nibs. Do you want to show them the cacao nibs? And then we're going to go into the demo. The cacao nibs are in one of the bars that they have in Whole Foods. They no longer sell the 82%, and actually the 82% bar is my favorite. It's the most interesting. So it's organic, treated bar. They make the chocolate right in Grenada. They said, we're not going to export our chocolate anymore. We're going to make it right here, and we're going to keep the profits in the country. And they're doing that very successfully. It was an American, a crazy American, who went and started that. These are cacao nibs. This is the chocolate. You want to pass that around? This is the chocolate before it's crunched.
You can take,
Okay.
it's quite strong.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You know, Alice Medrick will occasionally, who's my, really likes our chocolate. She'll occasionally all using them.
Yeah. Well, they're great. You can put them in muffins. You can put them in oatmeal. Yeah, they're really good. So the 82% is coming around. Now remember, this is 82% chocolate. Okay, who's the mathematician? If it's 82% chocolate, I can't help but do these things. They just like come out of my mouth, right? Last time I asked them a question they couldn't answer. I have to answer it for them. Okay. I won't ask you. All right, Valerie, if it's 82% chocolate, how much sugar is in it? Because it's either chocolate or sugar. 18. Okay, so it's 18% sugar and 82% chocolate.
So that's the
mass.
only other thing that I see 82%.
Right. That's right.
So if it's 60%, we're 40%.
That's right. That's right. So the first one, which is 70%, is 30% sugar. Okay, so this
What type of sugar do they use?
yeah, they use organic cane sugar. All of them use organic cane sugar.
Well, what's organic mean?
Organic? No synthetic pesticides. are sprayed on the crop.
But what about fructose? Would you use fructose?
No. It's cane sugar. We have the wrappers.
I actually have organic sugar.
Like this is the prelude, if you want to look at the, and I have the box right here.
Is this the same one?
Yeah. I don't have the Grenada because the Grenada comes in blocks, chef blocks. On that for Sylvia. So this won the silver medal in the London Academy of Chocolate Awards. Very different, right? This is a kind of robust chocolate, right?
Heavy red wine.
Yeah, heavy red wine. That's perfect. And this is the one that you're using in your cake, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think? 3 different chocolates.
Thank you.
These are all organic.
Very much. I would say coffee a little. I just
A little yeasty coffee. Interesting. Bitter. Yeah, it has some bitter notes to it. Yeah, it's 82%. So it's definitely got some bitter notes. But is it pleasing? Right. So what it is kind of like a bitterness that dissipates over time or that blends well. And that's the tricky part, like you were all talking about equating the chocolate to wine. It's so hard to taste it because in a really good chocolate, they balance all the flavor components, so you have to kind of tease them out. You really have to sit there and think hard and really train your palate and say, what am I tasting? Yeah?
I kind of think this one tastes a little warm.
Definitely. And that's not a bad thing. You get like cedar notes in some of the chocolate. And that's not a flaw. Smoke is a flaw. There's one chocolate that thinks they're so great because they have a smoky flavor in it. I tasted the chocolate. It's like, any questions about chocolate? Yeah?
The ingredients in the Madagascar one, I'm just reading it. So it says 75% cocoa, sugar, and pure cocoa butter. So cocoa butter is added in addition.
Yeah, and that's why you said this feels more luxurious. That's why it feels more luxurious because they added more cocoa butter. Some add in soy lecithin, some add in sunflower
Is there
lecithin.
much cocoa butter in there, or just a few percent?
It's very expensive, so chances are it's not a lot. Yeah, the beauty industry is using the cocoa butter now, so prices have really gone up on cocoa butter.
How do they make cocoa butter?
When you press the chocolate solids, like those cacao nibs that are going around, if you press them, they get the cocoa butter and the chocolate mass, which is actually powder, like cocoa powder. The two separate. So it's an industrial process. It separates the two.
So anything and most premium chocolate would be made with a cocoa butter.
It could be. They could add in more cocoa butter. Yeah,
Or they
for the
could
mouthfeel.
use the natural one out of the soy
So some of them add in the soy lecithin. Yeah.
With white tea. How did the dessert chocolate?
It's fermented and roasted.
Okay, so it's that
Yeah.
process.
Yes. Yeah, the fermentation and the roasting changes the color of the
Question of that white chocolate is
And cocoa white, exactly, it's cocoa butter, exactly. So you know, you've had white chocolate?
Yes.
So that's the cocoa butter that happens when you literally pulverize the chocolate and you separate the cocoa powder from the fats that are in it. Those are the fats I was talking about that Sylvia's going to do. So now, what is Sylvia going to make with all these
What are we gonna
delicious
make?
chocolates?
Yay. We are going to start with, first of all, we wanted to kind of showcase the chocolate tonight. You can make a lot of things. You can add flavors, you can make it salty, you can add fruits to it, nuts. Tonight, we wanted to just leave it as simple as we could, so you could actually taste the chocolate. So we decided to make a chocolate torte, and it's kind of like a mousse kind of consistent. It's very easy to make, and it gives me a chance to show you how to prepare the chocolate, how to melt it, and how to properly mix the ingredients together in a very simple way. When I bake, what I do is I prepare everything ahead of time. You actually can prepare the day before, so that the day after you can bake your cake. And so this cake has chestnuts, because chestnuts and chocolate go really well together. It's a great combination, and it gives a little bit of texture to the mousse cake. Has sugar, eggs, there is no flour, it's a flourless cake, and really good chocolate. So chocolate, you need to melt it. If you want to work with it, you need to melt the chocolate. The worst thing you can do is you get water into it. Water destroys basically the chocolate. It seizes, it becomes, so you have to keep it away from water. To melt it, you can do it in a couple of ways. You can do a bain-marie, and a bain-marie is very simple. It's on top of a pot of water. Just make sure that no water gets inside your bowl. Or you can actually do it in the microwave. I don't kind of like to do it, but you have to have a lot of patience. You have to do it in increments. You have to do it a minute at a time. Mix it, because actually the chocolate melts from inside out. And so I'm going to do it, with a little pot of water. And the recipe requires the really good chocolate and a little bit of 2 sticks of butter, a little bit of butter. And so what I already started, and what I do is I put it on a simmer, and you just make sure that the water doesn't touch the bottom of your bowl ever, because it kind of like it burns the chocolate. So the steam actually will melt the chocolate and the butter, and so you just leave it there, and it's almost melted, so we can leave it here, and what you get, it's beautiful, very shiny. See, it's shiny and melt. It's gonna take a couple more minutes. While that goes, and I'll put it on low because I don't want to burn my chocolate. Once water gets in it, you have to throw it away. So be very careful, and just be careful not to burn it underneath. Again, you can do this ahead. You can do it like an hour ahead, and it'll stay liquid for some time. Then what I do is I prep. I like to use the springform cake. Very simple. We all have those. And what I always like to do is I take my parchment paper, and with a pen or a pencil, I do a little circle, little arts and crafts. You can have the kids do this. What I do is I put my daughter and I make her do like 20 at a time. She loves it. And this will prevent all your cakes from sticking to the bottom of your pan. Thank you, Maria. Is my chocolate burning? No. All right. Very simple. Are you going to kill me if I spray a little bit? Okay. And what I like to do is I get some of this stuff.
What is it?
Spray it. If you like, you can use butter.
What did you say?
Butter. Lots of butter. And there you go. So you prep your pan ahead of time.
Did you say you could leave the chocolate for an hour to stay liquid? Did you mean on
Not in the
simmer?
water. No, not in the water. Once it's melted, like now it's melted.
Yeah.
Right. And it's beautiful and dark.
I just didn't know how you would let it sit for an hour that it would stay liquid.
You will.
Just on the counter?
Yeah, you can put it back on the water. Maybe 45 minutes.
So what kind of chocolate did you use?
That was the Madagascar we used for the torte. There you go. So you put it aside, and then we have the chestnut. The chestnuts, I like to do things easy. I buy the vacuum pack or the frozen kind, or if you have time, you can boil them, peel them, and all that kind of stuff. I don't. So what I like to soften them in a little butter. In a little milk. Butter.
Problem is soaking them.
So what I do is, it's very easy. You just put it on your stove, and when the milk simmers, you're done. Usually the vacuum packs are very soft already. And then you make a puree out of it, or you just smash it. It depends on if you like a very smooth texture, you can puree with this guy here, or you can just take a potato masher and you just mash and you get some pieces. I like some pieces in it. I just really like chestnuts. Okay. It's at this point, I was gonna use this, but I'm telling you, I'm gonna do it by hand because it's easier. The base of the cake is 4 eggs, yolks, and I have the eggs white, and I have started already getting it to peaks, steep peaks. Actually, Maria did this for me before, and she complained that I made her do it by hand. I like to, I hate dirtying all the bowls and using all the equipment, so easy. And you just do it by hand, and if you add a little bit of salt in it, it just stays a little harder. It's a little trick. Like that.
Salt or
Just a little pinch of salt.
kosher, see?
Yeah, just regular salt, like cooking salt, not the big grains, like a fine salt. Now,
Can you substitute cream of tartar too? Is that what we
you
used to do?
can if you're doing meringues, but you don't need for this kind of cake.
Okay.
Although I always think that a good pinch of salt, it's really good in chocolate, but then
Absolutely.
It just brings out the flavors.
It does, yeah.
And then at this point, this is what when you do a mousse pain cake, you kind of always start like this. You start with the egg yolks and the sugar. One thing to remember is never put your sugar in the egg yolks and walk away, because that cooks your egg yolks and it ruins them. So just do it at the last moment when you're like, yeah, little tricks.
Chemistry cooks them.
Yeah, and you just kind of like cooks it and you mix it all, not good. So you just do like this. And what, you could do it with your KitchenAid, or you can do it by hand. This cake doesn't require to be, sometimes you have to be there for a long time and get a really high white. This one you just have to mix it really well together. I like to do it like this. There you go. I'm gonna give you some patience. Just like that. You could go for another couple of minutes until it's really kind of smooth and nice. Tanya is the most amazing baker. She lives. She knows more than me. She makes the best salted caramels I have ever tasted in my life.
Do we get to taste those too?
Oh, yeah. So at this point, it's boiling. Can you actually put this? Because I'm gonna do it like this. And my chestnuts are soft and nice. And I'm gonna make a little noise. I'm sorry. And I love these things. These are great to have when you cook. It's just the easiest thing. You just be careful. And you go very slowly so you don't burn yourself. And one thing I didn't say is if you guys leave your email, I'm going to send you the recipe so that you can get all the right quantities at the end, tomorrow, and you can try it yourself. It's just I don't like to print on the paper.
I have them all.
Thank you.
Okay.
And if you have questions, you can email me. I'm always happy to. Now I have people that meet me at the grocery store and talk about recipes. And so you get a nice little. So if you have a little bit of a puree, I leave some chunks in it. I just like the texture. If you don't like it, you just kind of mash it until it's really thin. Okay, now we're gonna it's a little hot, but you should let it cool a little bit because the milk would cook the eggs, but we're a little bit in a rush, so I'll do it. And you slowly just, there you go. And you mix it really nicely. And then now I would like to show you how you work with the chocolate. With things like this. You just slowly melt it in. And this creates a very mousse-like. You get to taste this. There's one bake there.
Yes, she can look at
So this is the trick. At this point, you want to make sure that you mix really well. And what happens otherwise, you get streaks in your cake and in your butter. So you have to be a little patient and mix it really well until it's all combined. If you want, I don't, you can add another little pinch of salt to this one. And this is when you, and I had done it, is when you, I don't like how they are, so I need to go a little bit more. This is when you would start adding. The way you add, usually these recipes say fold your whites. This is what you do. You take 1 spoon of this, and the secret is that you want the two textures to be equally similar. So you want the egg white and this batter to have the same texture at one point. And if you add everything together in a big blob, it's not going to happen. And also you spend a lot of time adding air to your egg white, and if you dump it all in, it's just going to go down and your cake is not going to rise. Because if you notice, this cake has not enough way to rise. The eggs and the air is what make the mousse consistency. And so you put 1 spoon and you can go really fast. And then you add it in thirds. And that's what I call folding. So you go from bottom up very slowly. Until it's all nicely combined. And you add. I would do it in 3 times, but and you go like this. And then one little trick that we learned working in restaurant is what you do is you put it back in your other bowl, because at the bottom there is always dark chocolate that is left. So you go like that. Work your butter like this, and you do actually these 3 times if you have patience.
Are you aerating it in effect?
I'm aerating and I'm making sure that it's all well mixed together, so that no dark chocolate is at the bottom and no white. Because
Is the air important?
the air is extremely important, because there is no baking soda here. There is no baking powder. And so you want to keep the air inside your butter. And so that's why, see, I'm folding it this way. I'm not like doing it in the machine. I'm really slowly folding. And the last time. And then I would probably do it one more time. And then you put it in your, and you see it's all nicely mixed. I hate to waste.
So can I ask a
Yeah.
question here? Did you use this heavy cream or milk with you?
No, the heavy cream is for the chocolate. I'm gonna use it so it's just milk.
So you're using some of the best chocolates in the world right now
Yeah.
to make these, and then you're using store-bought heavy cream, or store-bought milk,
No.
store-bought eggs, versus like organic pasture, the best eggs, the best.
No, I buy good eggs. Yeah, heavy cream. I don't know. I can take it out my boobs if you want.
No, I didn't know. Like you search for like grass-fed organic milks and butters.
No,
and
I
all
have
those
really
things.
good stuff. Yeah, the heavy cream. It's a bit.
I don't know anything about it. That's why I was asking.
At this point, we can put it in the oven, and I put it like at low temperature, at I would say like 340, 325 for 50 minutes, 45. And you want to take it out when it's still kind of gooey inside a little bit, but with the crust on top. And you can do it too. You can eat it hot, and it's a delicious kind of mousse, or you can bake it 2 days ahead, and it just kind of hardens up a little bit, and it's a delicious, kind of like mousse kind of cake. You can. I finished it with powder. You can be crazy and put like ganache on top, and I'll show you how to make a ganache. You can put whipped cream on top. You can serve it with ice cream. It's a really intense cake.
Do you keep it in the refrigerator?
See, I don't. I like to keep it in an airtight container. I hate putting cakes in the refrigerator. This is a big debate. We can talk about it. I think it ruins the cake. It ruins it. You work really hard to get the perfect texture, and then you stick it in the refrigerator. It kills the crust. It kills like anything that you've done. You put it, and it takes the flavor away. If you're using like this is an egg-based cake. If you're afraid of that it's gonna go bad, then put it in the refrigerator, because I don't want anybody to get sick. Me, I keep everything out. What do you think about the refrigerator?
I think serve the cake and eat it all. That's
Yeah.
right.
I really think that the refrigeration like takes away the good.
Well, yeah, it can. Yeah, brings your temperature before you serve it.
Yeah. So that is your mousse cake. I want to go back to Claire. We do use the best ingredients that you can buy, and I think eggs, for example. Again, Tanya has her own chicken, so she, the best eggs. I think, when you come, I buy the best milk that I can buy. The cream, I don't know. It's cream. I don't know.
Did you buy the butter?
Butter, I buy French butter. Yeah,
Doesn't
usually.
heavy cream come from milk?
It does, actually.
So if you buy the best milk.
But I don't make my own whipped cream. I don't make my own heavy cream at home, so I don't have time to do that usually. So.
No, I
But
just
you know what,
thought
Annalise is the best to answer.
you- No, I just thought you could buy the heavy cream.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you did the milk and the.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
Yeah, I actually think there's a difference in the flavor, and there's certainly a difference in the nutritional profile of, grass-based, grass-fed cows, and then the milk or the butter or the heavy cream that comes from that. So, I mean, you're right. If you're going to use, an amazing chocolate, you can go ahead and say, I'm going to go all out, and I'm going to spend the extra money on the pasture-raised or kind of dairy to go with it, for example. Yeah. Okay.
We'll get you a cow, just a chicken, you've got space.
That's when you retire, you're going to have a farm when you retire.
I didn't know, I was trying to be flippant, I just asked, I don't know, I thought you could get it all, organic pasture is heavy cream too,
You probably can. Yeah. Okay.
What's next?
What's next? We are going to do truffles. Truffles are this is the easy kind. You could do cover tours and cover them, you can make beautiful shapes, you can paint them. Again, we wanted to really, really showcase the chocolate here. So we're going to use a very simple technique, and we're going to make a ganache. And a ganache is basically it's like combining heavy cream and chocolate together, and then whisking it. And then I need to go get my whisk has disappeared until you get the perfect, super, very, 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 very perfect creamy texture with no bubbles, very shiny. What I do is I'm gonna go get my whisk, and I'm gonna be right back. You got it. I'm sorry, I still email. She went ahead. I'll give her the list I have, all here, which includes the emails that you entered. I won't guess. So if anyone's a guest, I will need their. So you know what? I'll pass something to us. I'll get something to pass. Okay, it's time for this. Right. I don't think it's plugged in. It's not plugged in, that's why it's not going. Thank you. It's always a good thing. Yeah. So what I do to make a ganache is I actually make my cream hot, and then I mix it really quickly with the chocolate. That melts the chocolate, and then you put it back in the refrigerator. And I'm going to show you how to do it. But that's what you get. In half an hour, you get basically this like reconstructed kind of malleable chocolate that you can shape into your truffles. You can do it in many different ways. You can make little balls, and you can like make it really perfect, and you can put it like in a pan and then cut it with hot knives. It depends how you want to do it. Now, what's fun is this is really good chocolate, so we decided again we're not going to put anything crazy anything inside. But if you have such good chocolate or you want to do something different, this is when you start flavoring your cream. So that means that you can put, peppermint. You can flavor it with nuts. You can mush up some good pistachios, ginger, a little rum. I'm gonna add. I always like the salt. I like a little, just a. Is that okay? You can. I'm looking at her. Just a little bit of rum to bring up a little bit of the flavor. You can. The recipe I gave you as rum marnier because it's orange and it goes really well. You can put some frangelico, that's hazelnuts. And what you can do is you can make, say 10 different little cups when you're making your things, and then you have different flavor truffles. So I'm going to bring this as quickly as I can. I don't know if it's going to happen because it was, let me see. Not yet. And the other thing that you need to do definitely is break your chocolate.
So that's the Madagascar, right?
This is the Madagascar.
I hear the snap.
Yeah, see that? That's the good smack on the chocolate.
So if this doesn't come too quick enough, I'm just going to talk you through it. So what you do is basically easy. And this is how you make a ganache. And then you take your whisk and you will start working it like this until you get, and in fact it's happening, until the chocolate melts. And you work it until you get a very smooth, perfect, melted, shiny, shiny, shiny cream. And then you put it in your little box in your refrigerator, half an hour overnight. You can keep them there, I think, up for a week, I would say, and you can prepare them. You can, stack them up. And then what I like to do is I use, for the one that I made for you guys, I use some very good powder. Or you can have sugar. You can have some fun little crystals, you can have nuts, and I like to use this, or you can use a spoon, and there you go. And then you roll them up, and you'll have your truffles. And you roll them up in the chocolate powder, and there you are.
And what brand of chocolate powder do you have?
So this one I use roasted. I like a really good one. I think you had an amazing one. What did you have? I don't remember.
Yeah. There's another. Like if you want to do organic, you want to stay with organic and small production.
Yeah.
Terra Amazon is a really good brand.
I have some from these guys that is really good.
That's another great one. The same company that makes that. Yeah. If you go to a specialty food store or Whole Foods and you take a look at the cocoa powder that they have, get a really interesting cocoa powder because you don't want to buy, Hershey's.
What's Dutch process cocoa powder? Did you see that like on the King Arthur's? They have the Dutch process?
Yeah. There's I think there's an alkaline that's added to the powder. It changes the alkaline.
Acidity?
Yeah, it changes the acidity to it, and some recipes call for Dutch processed, and other ones call for non-Dutch processed. I usually don't use a Dutch processed.
It's tough to find the Dutch process.
Is it hard to find
Well,
in here?
around.
King Arthur's flour has it, but that's
Oh,
what I mean.
interesting.
Why don't you use the?
I just stay away from highly processed
Yeah.
stuff in general, so the less processed, the better for me. I figure it preserves more of the regular flavor of food.
So here we go. These are now you can put them in pretty boxes. You can, if you want to put little nuts inside, again, little candied fruit, little cherries. It's a really, really easy way to make candies. You would make couverture. If you want to make couverture, that's like when you eat the truffles and has the snappy, really hard shell. So what you would have to do is temper the chocolate. Tempering the chocolate is a bit of a technique. That means that you have to first take it down at a temperature, you have to melt it, and then you have to bring it up at 88. You have to have a candy thermometer, and you have to bring it up very slowly on your flame at 88 centigrade or 120 Fahrenheit. Bring it up, and then you basically you would add what's called seed chocolates, which is like actually broken pieces of chocolate. You mix it up, and you would have something that you can use that when he hardens again, has a very hard snap. It stays really shiny, and it doesn't melt in your hands. It's a bit of a process. It's fine to try. You just have to be very, very patient. And then you can dip your truffles in it, and they will be covered in coverture. You can do next time maybe when we get the marble going.
Yeah, because that is actually scientific.
Yeah.
You have to really adhere
Yes.
to it, or you don't wind up with
No,
shiny,
you don't.
hard snap chocolate. Yeah.
I think I read in this magazine that there's a cupcake that was dipped in edible gold.
Yes. So somebody was asking if they wanted to do a present to bring, and so you can order edible gold, and it's really pretty, and you get little flakes of that, and you can sprinkle it on top, or you actually can paint it on top. It's not really expensive. You probably can get it. I don't know if it's organic. You gotta get careful with that. I don't know if it's organic.
Foods have that?
Whole Foods wouldn't. No, you. I'm getting it online. Maybe Michael's or Michael's.
What's the name? What's
Michael's has, but I don't know that I
you
get
know
it.
the shop in Manhattan
They have,
where you
but I
can
don't know what
order?
they like.
What's
You
that?
know the shop in Manhattan, I haven't been there in forever, where you can order all those things from.
Yeah, you can order
Is
online.
it Connecticut Cake and Baking?
There's New York Cake and Baking.
Yeah, New York Cake and Baking, that's it,
Yeah.
yeah. They're the best things.
So with that said, and then we make some hot chocolate for you guys to taste. And we wanted to spend 2 minutes talking about hot chocolate. It's so easy to make at home. You use cocoa powder, and a lot of people kind of tend to go and buy the little envelopes, and it's pretty. That stuff is pretty bad.
Nasty.
It's,
Sorry, it's just awful.
If I were to make those 2 days ahead of when I was going to have them, could I put them in the refrigerator?
These you keep in the refrigerator, or you can even keep it in a airtight container if you like, or yeah.
They won't get soft.
No, they're not gonna get soft again. Once you roll them up, they'll be,
How long are they good for once you roll them up?
I think maybe a couple of weeks, I would say, in a airtight container.
Yeah, that's the thing, you don't want other smells to get in there, because it will ruin your chocolate. That's why the chocolate comes, wrapped like this, inside usually a paper package on the outside. They've started to do this, it's like a really high-end thing to do, is to wrap it in this airtight thing, because chocolate is food, it goes bad, and it does pick up smells of other foods that it's around. So if you open a chocolate and you don't finish the bar, you can always call me and I'll finish. But what I do is, because I usually have like 20 bars of chocolate open at a time, because I'm always tasting chocolate. And do you know that chocolate tastes different if you just taste it and like kind of walk around your house? It's not, wow, that's interesting. I never tasted that before. And you just sort of go on the phone and taste it, and then walk downstairs and taste it, or go outside. It tastes different when you move around. It really does. And I think it has to do with, is your mouth open? Is your nose open? Are you getting air in there? Are you allowing it to circulate?
It's like wine.
It is. It is like wine, and it has to sit sometimes. So
How long does a properly stored chocolate last?
Once open or closed?
If it's
once
open,
it's open,
I
I would leave it a couple weeks.
Like if you buy big, like caliber blocks.
Yeah. But if it's not open, if it's in a
If it's
airtight container,
right.
I think a couple of months,
Right.
would stay.
Right.
I mean, I keep
Throw
it
away
in
a
the
lot of
dark.
Don't refrigerate your chocolate ever.
Right.
Don't ever refrigerate chocolate. Bad, bad, bad. Like after you've made a cake, see how Sylvie was saying, like she's right. When you refrigerate things, you knock out the whole aroma profile immediately. It's like refrigerating a tomato.
Even like, so when my husband brings home good chocolate from Switzerland and puts them in the wine cooler to make them last longer, he's killing it.
It doesn't help, you know, it doesn't
No.
make it better. I mean,
Just eat them.
yeah.
Just eat it or put it under your bed or put it in a cabinet. I keep them in my office cabinet for emergencies, you know?
What kind of emergency do you have?
You would probably want to wrap this like cheese. So you wrap plastic wrap around it, put it back in a box, and don't wrap them all together. You know, keep them separate like
And
you
keep
would
it
with
in
cheese.
just a plastic, I use like a plastic box or
Yeah.
a tin,
Yeah.
something not in the refrigerator, in a dark space.
Yeah, away from lights.
What's your preferred type of French butter for your
Okay, so I like,
Monkey or?
yeah, of the fleur de lis or anything that, you know, has the highest content of fat. You just look at the content of fat, that's the best, you know, that you can.
If you use American butter, do you have a preferred type?
When I bake, I have to say, it's rare that I would use American butter. I have to tell you, there is at Costco, they have great, no, they do, they have great,
Products,
you buy
yeah.
the, I can't remember,
Irish
Kerrygold.
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 Kerrygold Irish.
Yeah, it's
Grass
great,
fed.
it's great, and you can buy, yeah.
It's grass fed.
What about cocoa powder though? What is that, what's a good brand and what would you pick for that?
I would go
Coating
to,
these things.
I would go to Whole Foods and I would buy Terra Amazon.
That's a good one. These guys, if you want to do it online, these guys are really good.
Yeah, this is Eskenazi, this is another one.
I do like my draw setup.
Wait,
Where do you buy the French butter?
Scharfenberg is
French
excellent.
They have it at Scharfenberg, they have a great selection.
Theo,
I promise you, go ahead,
sorry, I'm sorry, she
Yes.
said.
Go to Costco, go in the, not in the where they keep all the butter. There's a section where the Parmigiano is, which by the way, is amazing. And they have Kerrygold, and you buy like big blocks of it, like 4 at a time, and it's a great thing if you bake a lot.
Exactly as good as like food
Food is pretty good. They're all kind of compared, or you can just really go high-end and get your, you know, really high-end French butter. I don't know if you mix that much of a difference, but you know, yes.
Where do you buy your chocolate from?
Oh,
Besides the whole.
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, it's really hard to find good chocolate. So what I do is I buy my mail order.
Right.
And they ship it to you in the summertime in ice. Like,
It's like a wine, it depends on the year probably.
it does, it's really hard to find good chocolate, so this is the company that I buy from, and they're consistently doing a really good job.
And
They
you
don't
just
send
get reviews and you pick the cake, or you just how do you?
Go online and you order exactly what you want,
Oh, okay.
and they have a special, if it fits, it ships package that's $10, so I ordered like $200 worth of chocolate and they shipped it for $10, so it was great.
And if you order online and you bake a lot, you can just say that you can buy it already broken, which is amazing. So that
That's
you
right.
Yeah, because otherwise you have to buy a big block and chop that all.
I have a tempering machine.
Wow.
Ooh,
A little one.
Yeah, you should.
But the problem is they want you to put it in blocks, not in chopped, and how do you, when you get a block, how do you break a block into bigger blocks?
Can you bring me the Grenada block?
It's really tough to cut
Yeah.
a large
It is.
block
You
off
can
the
show,
block.
like, I have my Japanese one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
crumbs.
just kind of like go
Right.
for it.
Right, which gives me small bits, which is fine, but.
Yeah, the 82% was actually available in what they call chef blocks. So they're thick and they're big. And that's what I bought so Sylvia could make the cake.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
was
she made
really
the
easy
cake
to.
with. And this is, but when I went to chop it up to give it to you, it was murder to cut it out. I mean, this is, you see how thick this is?
Yes.
This is really thick. So this is the kind of block that you would probably want to use for your
Right.
tempering machine. If
Right.
it's asking for a block, go for a chef.
And then when you do it, you just go kind of like that.
Is like a calibo, because
Yes.
that's pretty easy to get, but the calibo is like 2 inches thick.
But,
and
right, why are they asking you to use the, you could just.
It doesn't really matter.
I know, that's when it's more inconvenient to have a machine
Yeah.
than it is to do it yourself sometimes.
Like if you just do, you can do it in the microwave, you literally can temper in the microwave,
Yeah.
30 seconds increments. and you should
I
try
really,
it.
I like the crisp. No, yeah, I like the,
Yeah.
when you dip things, I like it to be crisp.
It
Yeah,
comes
it's
really
definitely-
crispy. Once you master your microwave, you can do
Next
it.
class.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I missed a step because we were talking about this like 2 weeks ago. Kind of fell off the bus because I've been to truffle classes and done things. And at a chopping block in Chicago, they always said, go Calabo, get Calabo, go to Whole Paycheck, buy the Calabo blocks. So Calabo, so let's assume that for the moment, okay, it's gross, but let's assume for a moment it's great and it comes from, I guess, France or Switzerland, one of the two. My
Well,
question is, and this
they're
is
the ones who process it into the bar.
well, that's what I was going to say, is because we see that, you know, the French dude that was up there who had his Madagascar
Probably,
1% plantation, and
Yep.
it looked like that they did all the roasting and so forth from Madagascar, but yet he has these fabulous chocolate tablets. So I kind of fell off the bus of where we go from what comes out of the factory, and then if I'm a master Swiss chocolatier, what am I getting from Madagascar? And then why am I the special master as the Swiss chocolatier? Because I'm not growing cocoa beans. I'm
that's right.
doing funky stuff.
That's right. Okay, this is a really important distinction in case anyone missed it. The manufacturers whose chocolate we tasted today are top. They've won awards. And they win awards for their chocolates because they go from bean to bar. In other words, they control the entire process.
Bean to
So
bar.
typically, they'll work with the farmers and tell them exactly how they want the beans processed. Like Francois Pralou, the guy is a nut. I mean, he's crazy French about processes. Like, I'd probably be like him. I'd be standing there watching him ferment and go, don't blow that! You know? And they're really crazy about it because it all matters. The Grenada Chocolate Company, they grow all their own chocolate. Hikari, they grow their own chocolate. Pralou, he owns his plantation in Madagascar. A lot of these other chocolate companies, they buy what's called chocolate liquor. So it's the chocolate that's already been conched, and they send it to them in a package, and all they do is temper it and form it into bars or bonbons.
So that's like what Calabo does.
Yeah. Calabo, I have to say, it's not top of the line chocolate, and some of their chocolate, it's a little squirrely about where they're sourcing it from. They do source from the Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast.
Just an
Godiva.
example for, if you're going to make truffles and you're going to buy chocolate, who are we buying it from?
That's right. That is exactly why we feature these chocolates today, because these are chocolates where the people who are making them are so crazy about quality that they're willing to pay more to have it done right. So if that means paying the farmer more and paying whatever, person who's actually raking out the cocoa beans to ferment them, and making sure that they're packed up and shipped to them at exactly the right humidity level, because if the humidity level is off, they're gonna rot. And if you ever have any rotten fruit flavor in a chocolate, I've had bad chocolate. I mean, I've had bad fine chocolate.
Yeah.
And it happened to me recently, and I was shocked, and I could not believe it. And I called another one of my friends, I called her the palate, Elena. I said, Elena, these chocolates are all bad. No, this can't be. And we sat down and we looked at it. Every single one of the chocolates was flawed. And we went to the person, to the company who shipped the chocolates and said, every one of those chocolates is bad. They're all flawed. They're all off. I opened them up and they smell like perfume. That's like rotting fruit. That's bad. So I said, there's something off. And they said, well, we're not responsible for what happens in the factory. And I said, that company is off the list.
I think we have a couple of questions.
So these are the chocolates that we trust, that we love. These are, the Pralou, he's crazy about quality. Grenada, you can get it in Whole Foods, you can get it online. And the other one, Hikari, try their raw chocolates. They're raw cacao. I mean, I'm not into raw, but they win a lot of awards. Yes, sir.
What's the #1 chocolate brand?
The #1 chocolate brand, Hershey's and Mars.
Swiss chocolate production?
Yeah.
Half Swiss.
Okay.
The EU stipulates that you can only use use 5% of vegetable oil in your chocolate, and the Swiss prefer to use 0 vegetable oil. So
Right.
that's a huge reason for why everybody blames that. Why the
Yeah.
taste is so different, because they don't use any vegetable oil. And in the EU, comparatively to America, it's only 5% permitted for, I don't know the American, but it must be like 36% or something.
Yeah, okay, so here's a really interesting, you know, if you want to get geeky, which I love to get geeky. You know that. I used to work in the same office, you know. We geek out on everything. Anyway, the point she's making is that there are candy bars, they're not serious chocolate, where they are adding in other vegetable oils, and they're still allowed to call them chocolate.
But chocolate bars are still made with vegetable oil, like
Yep.
real chocolate, like Lindt
Yep.
and, well, not
Yep.
Lindt, but chocolate
Hershey's
bars are.
bars, some Lindt,
But even American
Cadbury.
quality.
But those are really at the low.
That's like the
Yeah,
lowest.
the
Like the
low
low
end.
end of the
That's,
chocolate.
you know, the Ivory Coast chocolate.
The Lindt is, but the Cadbury is really, you know, if you eat chocolate, don't eat Cadbury is just at the bottom.
Yeah,
of the
Lindt,
chocolate.
Cadbury is
the
the
Hershey's of the
Diet.
UK.
Yeah, but it's just.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of these companies have been absorbed by larger companies, and they're no longer making like the amazing chocolate. Like there's one company out of the Dominican Republic that used to make really amazing chocolate, and they sold the company, and don't really love the chocolate anymore. Because remember we got back to the genetics, right? And how we're losing our flavor beans. So how can you have all these companies that say, oh yeah, I have Criollo, and I have the Porcelana, and I have the white bean. How can you all have it? Probably not. You're probably blending it, and at the source, they can tell by looking at the beans, which are the white beans, which are the purple beans, which they can tell by the cacao pod, the shape of the cacao pod, what kind. I'm going to show you this book. This is beautiful. What kind of cacao it is. And if you have Criollo, for example, which is sort of the original, amazing, crazy, delicious cacao, why would you want to blend that with another one? If there's not enough, right? That's the problem. So that's why I like the
We
bean
talked
bar.
about the article that were like, there was not gonna be enough chocolate in the next cup. Did you talk about it?
I didn't talk about it, but it's actually true.
Because we're so high on chocolate right now.
You remember I sent her the article, I'm like, Sylvia, we should corner the market in chocolate, because it's going to go through the same thing as olive oil. You know that there's a bad crop in Europe right now. The olive oil, they're going to get hit. Olive oil prices are doubling already.
People like buying all and keeping it in their basement in Europe because next year there's not gonna be olive oil because they had a bad year.
Yeah, yes, so buy your olive oil now. So, you know, you can see, this is actually a beautiful book. Marisol Garcia wrote this when I was in culinary school. She was my chocolate teacher, and she's a Cuban chef. She's really into chocolate. She's traveled to cacao plantations throughout Central and South America. This is really a beautiful book. She has a lot of different pictures in here. They're just attempting now to kind of reclassify the genotypes. There's a lot of confusion. It used to be, oh yeah, it's Criollo, it's Trinitario, or it's Forastero. No, there's a lot more than that, and there's a lot of confusion. So they're really now trying to say, okay, which is which? That, see? We're going to have those in a minute. But this is a really, really fantastic book. It's got some recipes in the back. And then this is another one. Like if you are really intrigued by what's going on with chocolate and why we're losing these really incredibly vulnerable trees, you know, the Criollo trees, this is a great book, and kind of who's involved in the movement to try to protect and propagate the trees that are actually producing the most delicious chocolate. The hybridization that's going on is really awful. They're not hybridizing for flavor, they're hybridizing for vigor, and they're hybridizing to maximize production. Is the same thing happening with coffee beans?
Well, I think it's the same susceptibility to disease that they're
Yeah.
hybridizing them for the more vigorous ones.
They have witch's broom, which can wipe out. I mean, Brazil got hit with witch's broom, and it just knocked them out. They actually thought it was an act of bioterrorism. They thought someone came in and intentionally infected the plantations. And there are some islands where you are not allowed to bring any cacao genetics onto the island for fear of contamination. Think phylloxera. Think the American chestnut, right? The decimation that has happened when you brought foreign genetics in and they decimated the crops. So I hope that you know, understand, like we tried to contextualize this so that you, yeah, so that you could sort of understand how special the chocolates are, try to learn a little bit about tasting, learn a little bit about what's going on with cacao in the world, and when you if you're going to go through the trouble of making your own truffles, or making your own delicious cake, or making your hot chocolate, use these really high quality chocolates because it does make a difference.
But also for me, it's important to show you that it's really easy to work with them. It's like
Yeah.
all the, you can use the machines, and you can use this, and you can, make curls and leaves, or you can make something really simple and enjoy, an afternoon in the kitchen and have something beautiful. And that's how I always like to cook. Yeah.
When you were at Le Cordon Bleu, was there a specific chocolate source you guys used?
No, those guys just use whatever. Whatever they can get their hands on. I mean, the kitchen
Yeah.
in the restaurants are different. I mean, the restaurant world
Because
is
they do so
different than.
much, or?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
different kind of world. Like they do amazing things, but they also might spend a day doing a sculpture with chocolate, and a chocolate fountain and chocolate things, so they're not gonna
Waste
the money. Most of the
Exactly.
restaurants don't use eggs. Actually, they use eggs in a carton. They're not gonna crack eggs. So
Buy
it's-
dozen eggs.
buy dozen eggs. So it's a different world. Like you will have to go to a small, beautiful little boutique place to.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Chocopology, he
Chocolate,
uses
yeah,
different
it does,
varieties of
exactly.
chocolate for each of his
Exactly,
different.
and it's a very expensive and a non-profitable business actually. That's why not so many people succeed.
Yeah.
And maybe make more stop.
So,
Yes.
what's your favorite form of chocolate that you've ever had?
Me?
Both of you. You're both chefs.
Like Nutella. Which I can send you the recipe how to make at home so that you
Yeah, it's
can
actually good. Yeah. If you don't have it, and I don't buy Nutella, I buy,
Yeah, you just make it
organic
yourself.
brand, you can make it yourself. If it's not in the house, there's something for breakfast.
Yeah.
You
In
should
the recipe
remember
we'll
that.
send you it's something called bicerine. It's a very popular in north of Italy, and it's 3 layers: one of hot chocolate, some liquor, and coffee. And when you do it, like you get the sweet, and it's delicious. That's what my grandmother used to drink before church.
I love a flourless cake. I think the flourless cake, who just loves flourless
The
cake?
torte version, not the.
Yeah, and that's what she made. That I think
Yeah.
is my favorite chocolate dessert. Is the
Amen to that.
flourless torte. Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to ask a question about the hot chocolate.
Yeah.
It's many different ways to make
Yes.
it, but what is the proper way?
So the proper
No,
way, I
no.
think,
Yes.
and there is, when you cook, everybody has a way to do things.
Right.
So, my way is I like to first get the milk or a little cream if you want, depends how thick you want it, hot. Then you get your chocolate powder, and then you decide how sweet you like your hot chocolate. I like it a little bit sweeter because I do it for the kids, so you add a little bit of sugar to the powder.
And this powder is bitter, it's not sweet.
Yeah, I always go for bitter. I never buy the stuff with the sugar in it.
Right.
Because that's how
Because
you
you can't
control.
control
Yeah,
it.
That's
you
exactly
control it.
right. Yeah.
Then at that point you decide if you want a plain one, maybe you want a little vanilla in it, maybe you want a little cinnamon, you decide. I like a plain. And I just mix it with a spoon of hot water so that I make a paste. And then I pour the hot milk on it, and that's it. And then you cook it, maybe you can cook it out to reduce it.
And what is it? and just warm up the water and then, the water will melt and dump it.
Yeah, you can do it like that's what
It's
kids do.
like-
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. A little trick, sometimes in Europe or in Mexico, when you go, it's really thick. It's like kind of pudding-like. They do add a spoon of cornstarch. But that makes it really thick, almost like a pudding.
Right.
And it's a good thing.
Right, but you could do it on the stove, you could do it in the microwave. I
Yeah.
actually think that the way Sylvia is talking about it is like the method. You know, if you want really,
Yeah,
without
make it
the
base.
clumps, if you
Yeah,
know
that's
how it
what I'm
clumps
saying.
up,
Yeah.
that's how you avoid the clumping.
Paste.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Now, when you melt chocolate, in other words, the powder that we
Yeah, the cocoa
When you
powder.
put cocoa powder, what brand do you buy? What do you buy there?
I'll write it down for you.
You should write it
Yeah, so tear out
Because
the.
we do have the same issue with the cocoa powder, some of it's really
Yeah,
soft.
yeah, some of it's crap, you know, don't buy the crappy brands. Oh, and by the way, the mixes, these hot chocolate mixes.
They're terrible.
Don't buy them, some of them have cadmium in it. All right, you don't want cadmium.
The one with the fake marshmallows.
Yes, because,
Oh my gosh, that's.
how hard is it to take a cup of milk and microwave it and add,
Just buy some cocoa powder, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and stir it in. That's all it is. You know?
right? My kids can do it. Cocoa powder.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anybody want?
Yeah.
That's
That's
right.
good for rolling from a
Yeah.
powder and all that takes.
Any other questions? Any other questions right
You mentioned hot chocolate.
I'm sorry, we have another question. We have another question. Go ahead. Okay, we're talking about expiration dates on chocolate. The chocolate that, Maria, is there a whole bar of the Palu Madagascar back there? Thank you. I think it's 2016. I think it's, I have a lottery ticket. Oh, you have it, Maria, I have it. I'm sorry, thank you. I'm just gonna look at this, I have to get my glasses on. When you buy chocolate in the grocery store, or when we buy chocolate from the company, yeah, 21/8/16. So August 20th, 2016. And we should always follow that? Yes. Oh, yes, please do not go past the expiration date. Otherwise, you will get this. Do you know that this chocolate just expired? This was, oh, where did that bar go? It expired.
I'm actually dreaming
I'm sorry?
Are you sending us all the names of these chocolates?
Yeah, there's an email list back here. If you're interested in receiving emails from me, you know, I run the Fairfield Green Food Guide. I founded it about 6 years ago. I do love sustainable food, and the chocolate is part of it. What I try to do is make it easy for people to understand what's good, how to get it, right, etc. I use my chocolate wrappers as bookmarks, yes. Yeah, so let me give you this. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in inspired chocolate before because isn't it like they start to turn white?
Who has that chocolate that yeah, it blooms and it gets crumbly. I had a bar that wasn't expired that had gone bad. And what happens is, you know, my friend was with me, oh, it's okay, we can eat it anyway. And I said, no, we can't. And I said, go ahead and try to eat that chocolate. And she broke it and it crumbled. And she put it in her mouth and she spit it out. It's awful. It's like eating
I
milk
feel
that's
so
gone
guilty
bad.
about throwing out so many chocolate bars.
You know what, it's really shocking, but you know, you're gonna get a bad bottle of wine, you're gonna get a lot of bad bottles of olive oil, and you're gonna get a lot of bad
I
chocolate.
would think if you buy it from one of these companies, you can send it back.
You know what, I have never gotten a bad bar of chocolate.
My
syrup.
olive oil, I read it down here, and so I think that would be.
No, is that the milk coming up, or? That's the cocoa butter. Remember we were talking about how cocoa butter is polymorphic?
6 different types of.
Yes, 6 different, the molecules in cocoa butter can line up 6 different ways. And if you don't line them up the right way, they will not be, the chocolate will not be glossy and have a hard snap. So if you don't store a chocolate properly, or if it's old, or if it wasn't tempered right to begin with, you're going to get bloom. And you can get the bloom like this, or you can get bloom where the sugar crystals rise to the top. If you ever had a chocolate that's kind of gritty on the top of it, that's sugar bloom. So you can have them 2 ways.
Well, it gets in like little balls, so when you open it, it's like tiny little
Right,
balls.
it crystallizes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad chocolate.
And
So
then you just can't use that.
You
just
can't,
use
no.
it. That means the water got into it or something. else, you can't
Something,
use that.
exactly, something happened to it, it wasn't stored properly, it froze, someone heated it up too high. But take it back to whoever you bought it from, especially if it's expensive chocolate. There's no excuse for that. I mean,
What's
that's
expensive
awful.
chocolate in your world?
$15, $20 a bar. It's expensive.
A bargain for
8 ounces?
How about 2?
Just checking.
This is the Bacardi. And because you asked, you get the rest.
The best chocolate I ever had went to Machu Picchu, and there's a hotel on Machu Picchu. And when we went to bed at night, on your pillow was a piece of crumpled up tin foil with 2 little, with 2 whatever. And it was just 2 little pieces of chocolate, and it must have been, it was the best, and this is what it must have been.
And you know what, it could have been rustic chocolate. Who's been to Mexico and had like rustic chocolate in Mexico where they actually grind it right there and add a little sugar and spice to it, and then you could take it and make hot chocolate. That's actually the best hot chocolate. Who's ever had the Taza wheels that you make hot chocolate out of? Is that like amazing hot chocolate? So good because it's stone ground chocolate. Remember I was saying before I like the least processed possible? So if you want to get like that more rustic cacao flavor, go for the stone ground chocolate rather than the one that's been crunched. That's an eating chocolate. For drinking chocolate, that doesn't matter. It's all going to melt in a cup.
I agree.
She hasn't met a chocolate she didn't like, right? Yeah?
What do you think about the Ghirardelli chocolate factory in San Francisco? Is that
Ghirardelli is not a quality chocolate.
It used to be though. It used to be so much better. Never was?
I don't know if it ever was. At this point, it's not. It's not. There's another brand. Have you seen it? It's red. I can't remember this. But if you want to buy like chocolate chips, I'm surprised no one asked about that. Like what chocolate chips to buy in Whole Foods. Guitar. Guittard. Actually, like the best chocolate chips you can buy is Guitar, and they are really demons about quality. That's a really good company. You like that brand? Yeah, it's good chocolate. And I actually had one of their Madagascar bars recently. Not bad. I did a whole Madagascar flight. Not bad. Gotta do it. Part of the job is chocolate, so let's gotta do it.
What about chocolate, affordable chocolate for the home cook who can't buy 2 ounces of it? Affordable chocolate when you want to bake. I think, you can stay on this more on the Swiss, I don't think I think this is when you taste chocolate and you really know a lot about chocolate. Or you can bake with, a good, mid-level chocolate, and you still get a great product, and that's all about it. Like I think a Swiss, like some Swiss chocolate, I think Lindt is fine,
Yeah. But, I have to say, the other thing is, just because it says it's organic doesn't mean it's great. I tasted some really awful organic chocolates from Whole Foods that are in the baking aisle, like, don't ruin your food, because you will. I mean, like literally, I would open the bag of chips and taste it and go, what is this? This is not chocolate. This is bad. That's why it's really important to know, like, there's Guittard ones. But
I do agree though that sometimes you don't want to spend $20 for 2 ounces to bake for your kids, and I think you should be able to find,
Theo, I wouldn't do black and what is that called? some nasty, but Theo is really good. Buy the Theo when it's on sale. If you're asking about cheap, moderately priced baking chocolate, don't think you need to go and buy baking chocolate. Like, forget the days of Baker, Bittersweet, whatever the heck is in that package. Theo chocolate is really good chocolate for cooking with.
If you ever go to Seattle, sign up and take their factory tour.
Yeah.
But you have to reserve because
Yeah.
limited size, and you will wander the neighborhood for an hour if they're full, which is a good thing, but.
It is. That's actually, I did that tour with my family. It was fantastic.
But then you choose any chocolate, you're not going to the milk, you go in a higher cocoa content, right? Like
That's right.
70 and above 72.
That's right. It's for baking.
Because the Theo has a different percentage. They
Yes,
have
they do.
from 40 to 85.
Correct.
So
For eating, for everyday eating chocolate, it doesn't matter. But for baking, you want to do what?
I think about 70.
Yeah,
for
at
baking,
least
70, 80. I mean, then it gets also like you need to decide, you like really bitter, because I think
But it's
80,
healthy.
yeah, it's healthy, but, you need to decide if you like it or not. It's your cooking, it's your cake, it's your taste. So, if you don't like it so bitter, go a little less, and
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean, it's your mouth.
So you can taste the desserts now. Sylvia made the chestnut tart with the grenada, 82%. Out of the box. And the truffles with the Madagascar. And if anyone needs another taste of the Hikari, I have some more bars. You can have another bite of the Hikari. Thank you. Chocolate is a lot. They have some Hikari. They don't have but they do have other Hikari bars. They have ones with inclusions. The salt and with nuts and fruit. And I take my chocolate straight string it to I can tell you're not a chocolate lover. Yeah. Big one. Yeah, I figured